Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode of Tell Me More. Today we have two stories to share and it's a sensitive topic, I will say. It can be very sensitive for some of you. I think it's something that women and men both struggle in. I think starting from a really young age, and today's topic is weight. I didn't even talk about what I'm drinking. Today's drink of the day is a Truly lemonade. I have like a whole box of these, so you guys are gonna probably see this drink a lot. It's the strawberry lemonade. I think out of the whole pack, it's my favorite one. The lemonade is okay. I don't know why I said it twice. I don't know why my brain processed it that way, but the lemonade one is okay. I don't really like the black cherry one. Is it black cherry? I don't think that's what it's called. Anyway, there's a cherry lemonade, and I don't think that one's my favorite. There's an orange lemonade too, or something like that. I don't know, but the strawberry lemonade is literally my favorite. So cheers. So moving on to the first story, there is one topic followed by a story that I wanted to discuss or maybe get a little advice from, because I've been struggling with it my whole life. And it didn't really significantly kick in until these past few months, since I do leave for basic soon. So story time from the email. I've been working out and dieting to help my weight get down to a certain requirement. Most times I honestly just want to quit when I feel like no progress has been made. Following the saying, it is what it is, and crying my eyeballs out. I'm almost never happy with the way my body is and always very negative towards life itself. It just sucks that you feel worthless even if others disagree. My mindset is always, you can't do that, you're too big, or you're not good enough. It really does get in the way of happiness and all that jazz. But don't get me wrong, I have friends and family who tell me that I'm doing good and all that. I just really struggle with self-esteem and motivation because it doesn't seem that I'm doing good. I'm sorry that this is long, but long story short, is there anything you could maybe let me know about being positive and treating yourself with kindness no matter how shitty life is? Is there any words of encouragement that you live by that maybe I should remember the next time I feel discouraged or unmotivated? So I think weight is a sensitive topic for everyone. I don't know if you're familiar with why I started my channel, but my channel actually was started back in 2018. Specifically, January 2nd, 2018 is when I started my channel, and it was because it was following me in my weight loss journey. And I made it to about 6 to 7 months, and I had lost like 40 pounds. And from then on, something traumatic happened, and I just kind of started eating again and not really taking care of myself, and so now we're here. But I think weight will always be a sensitive topic, not just overweight but also underweight. I think a lot of women and men, we're so fixated on our appearance. I think the hardest thing about weight loss, for me at least, has always been that I feel stuck. Like you're stuck in a plateau where you're like, okay, well, I've lost this much amount of weight. Why am I not losing any more? Because I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still working out. I'm still eating less, or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure exactly what diet you're on, but it sounds like it's really discouraging when you're not seeing progress and you're sitting there like, okay, well, that's that. Honestly, those are the times where you're supposed to be strongest for yourself. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is not because I'm better or because I know more or because I've dieted before. It's not anything like that. This is something I wanted to talk about because it's a weakness of mine. Clearly, I am not the healthiest or the fittest or the smallest or, you know, anything like that. And I have no right to tell you what is right and what is wrong, and I don't always have self-confidence like you, but I think the fact that you're even working on yourself is what matters, and that's really kind of why I wanted to share your story or talk about this topic, is because what sucks about weight and our self-confidence and motivation is it really comes from ourselves. I feel like when I was losing a lot of weight and working out a lot and taking care of myself, I really was so focused on loving myself. At the time, it's crazy how much like my confidence was so high, and now looking back at it, I'm like, I don't even remember how to think like her. Like, I'm such a different person again. Like, I remember, but I just can't do it because I don't look like the old me. And it makes me sad too, and I wish that I had someone to tell me to keep going. I wish there was someone who was like, oh my god, you're doing amazing. And it's not like people didn't in my life, but I guess the main people that I saw all the time didn't always necessarily say that. And what I'm saying is, my family was the quite surprisingly a negative part in that, and I'll explain that later. No matter how shitty life is, you're gonna get through it. It's going to pass. If you work hard, you will see the progress that you are working for. It is all going to pay off in the end, but you gotta keep your head up. If you look away or if you forget sight of what you want in life, it'll go away. I forgot that I even was working on myself, and I am back to square one. That's like my biggest mistake. Don't go back just because you're scared, or because you think life is shitty, or just because you're so in one moment, because this is just a moment. If you don't do it now, you'll never know what it will do for you in a month or a year from now. You never know. You have to keep going, and you have to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself that you'll take care of yourself, that you'll be there for yourself, because that's what matters. Because like you said, you have friends and family, but it's us. We are our worst critics. We are the ones that bring ourselves down. It's not the people around us. We are the ones who allow that to either affect us or not. Some people have a better tolerance. Some people don't let it affect them, but sometimes it's not easy for a lot of people. I don't think that I can really say anything that'll 100% make you feel like, wow, like I feel motivated again. It is heard, and that you're not alone, and people struggle with it too. I struggle with my weight too. I am always constantly, you know, my lack of self-esteem is low sometimes. I don't have the highest one. And I think it's hard to understand that, because people are always like, oh my gosh, how do you stay so confident? How do you stay so motivated? And I'm like, I have no answer for you, because those things come sporadically. Not a lot of people always walk around confident and act like they got their life together. It's not realistic. I guess my main point is, I want you to know that you're being heard, and I want you to know that you're not alone, and I want you to know that if you keep working on what you're working on, you'll find it. Sometimes we don't get quick results. I think our culture is so used to getting things so quickly, but unfortunately, when it comes to confidence and motivation and body, those take time. It takes a lot of time and effort, and you're working on it, and that's all that matters. Okay, moving on to the second email. Hi Michelle, I just wanted to start off by saying I've really been enjoying your new segment. You seem like such a down-to-earth person, and I hope I'll be able to find a friend like you one day. Thank you. Anyways, I wanted to share my experience being a Korean American girl with a family who is pretty close-minded about different bodies and weights. I think it's part of Korean culture to be very blunt and honest about the way someone looks and to point out flaws. I've always been a pretty chunky girl, probably since elementary school, and I grew up hearing about it from literally every adult around me. This caused a lot of body image issues and disordered eating habits that I still struggle with today. I've gone through a lot of yo-yo dieting. I've been super small and also very overweight, but I can't seem to go through body changes without someone in my life pointing it out to me. I'm 24 now and I'm at a pretty healthy weight, not super skinny, but my overall health is very normal. Unfortunately, the experiences I had with the adult figures in my life have caused me to be very critical about my size and appearance. I've definitely improved my eating habits and body image issues, but I still can't help but be upset if I gain a couple of pounds. I find myself being very conscious of how much I'm eating, what I'm putting into my body, and stressing about going to family dinners, knowing someone will comment about my weight. Anyways, I'm not really looking for advice or anything, just wanted to share my story since none of my friends come from Asian households and can't relate. Thanks for taking the time to read this. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. Okay, so one of the reasons why I decided to choose that email is because I literally could not I literally could not relate more than that email itself. Like, it's insane. When I read it, I thought she was talking about me. Obviously, I'm Korean American. I'm first generation. My family is from South Korea. They came over here, then obviously started family, yada, yada, yada. But I have, ever since like elementary school, around 3rd grade, have been chubby. I remember I've always been like pretty much ridiculed for being my like weight. Like, people always have something to say about it. My family literally never shuts up about my weight, which is funny because my dad's side of the family is who I'm referring to. I'm sorry, I should clarify. My mom's family, we don't talk very often because they still are in South Korea. My dad's side of the family is all in America, but my mom's side is not. I rarely see my mom's side, so they don't really have much to say. But I remember when I was back in like 2012, I think someone was like, oh, you were so pretty when you were little. And I was like, you guys with these backhanded compliments, like, does it come naturally to be an asshole? Like, I don't understand. I don't. It's just certain things you just don't say. It's like proper etiquette. You just don't say certain things. Like, common sense, but I guess not all of us have that. So, but my dad's side of the family has always talked about my weight. It's like literally the most hottest topic to talk about every holiday or every time there's a family dinner. I can't get away from it, and it's so insanely rude. And I don't know if anyone else struggles with this in their family, whatever race you are. It's definitely taken a toll on me and how I want to talk to my family, and more like how I don't want to talk to my family, particularly my grandma on my dad's side. The last time I spoke to my grandparents was probably January 1st, 2020. And the reason for that is because I have been pretty sensitive about, I'm gonna be really honest, like I'm gonna be like raw honest. I had lost weight in 2018. I had lost about like 40 pounds, and I felt and looked the best that I thought I did. And I worked very hard. I was at the gym about 10 times a week. I was eating a healthy diet. I was doing good. And after some stuff had happened, I kind of let go of myself, and I've gained back all the weight and a little bit more, and I'm not in the happiest place. So I'm pretty sensitive about my weight, I will say. But back in November, when we were doing our Thanksgiving meal, my cousin, who's doing her PhD at UCLA, was coming down to have a Thanksgiving meal with us. And I remember sitting there, like, my grandma has jabs where it's like, I just don't want to talk to you. She'll talk about like new diet fads, or like, oh, this is how you lose weight, or you should try eating celery because it's good for you, or you should try eating bell peppers because it's good for you, or just these comments. And I'm like, could you just enjoy your meal and then I'll go upstairs, thank you. So it's always been so hard for me because they constantly talk about it. And it's always during mealtime because I only see them for mealtime, right? But then this past November, specifically when my cousin was here, my cousin had lost a lot of weight because she was under a lot of stress at the time. And my grandma went on and talking about how, like, she's so thin, she needs to eat. And it's like constantly, it's like, if you eat too little, what's wrong? You're not eating. If you eat a little too much, you're so fat, you're too chubby, you need to lose weight. It's just constantly, like, there's never a happy, like, middle. And I'm like, I don't even know why it matters to you because it's not your body. Like, I don't understand. But I remember, so that was first strike for me. Not that that didn't happen before, but it especially triggered me because I was just like, that's so funny, because when I was losing weight, all you had to say to me was, oh, you lost weight. You're gonna look so good when you lose more. Like, it was never good enough. And I'm just like, okay. Oh, okay. And then the final strike for me was when we had our New Year's meal. In the Korean household, it's very traditional to have tteokguk in the morning. It's a huge tradition. So my family was over and my cousin wasn't here, but we always pray before we have our meal, and my grandma had the audacity to pray that me and another cousin would lose weight. And I was like, I'm done. Oh my God, I was furious. I barely finished my meal that day, I remember, because I was like, someone needs to get this lady out of here because I'm gonna flip. Like, I remember I went straight upstairs and I think I cried because I was so frustrated. And then I shared with my mom, and then I shared with my dad, and my dad was like, that's not what she said. And I was like, you don't know what she said. Sorry, my alarm went off. But yeah, and after that, I haven't seen them because I just don't have the energy. Like, if that's just all you're gonna talk about constantly, I don't, you know, I don't have the energy to sit there and even be mad at you that all you want to talk about is my weight. Like, no. I asked you guys on Instagram to ask me questions that have to do with, like, weight and, like, growing up Asian and dealing with all of that. So a few things that I looked at that I wanted to briefly talk about, like, someone said, is cutting off your family too mean when it comes to them shaming you for being plus size? Now, do I think that you should cut them off like cold turkey? Not necessarily. They are family. I know my family does it because they want me to be healthy, but it's very toxic to me, and that's how I grew up. And I definitely have a different way of looking at myself when, you know, when I'm looking in the mirror, because that's just constantly what I've grown up with. Like, I grow up and I'm like, I'm not good enough. I grow up and I'm like constantly, like, say I'm dieting, it's like it's never good enough. There's no end, because that's just how I was brought up. It's never good enough. You're not there. And then it becomes like, okay, but when is it good enough? When are you good enough? How far do you need to go to feel like you're good enough? Whoa, that got deep. But it is brutal to just cut off family. I purposely, I mean, really the reason I could even go this long was the pandemic. I remember before the pandemic, my aunt was here and they did like family dinners twice or something, and I purposely stayed away. I said, I'm not going. I cannot go. I will not sit there and allow them to talk to me that way. So unless someone's gonna clear it up with them, and it can't be me because I'm gonna yell at someone, and I don't want to be disrespectful in that way. So I didn't show up to family dinners. So I wouldn't say cut them off, but if you have to avoid it, then I would avoid it, because if that's better for your mental health, then do that, because you matter and you shouldn't have to deal with people just because they're family. You shouldn't have to deal with them being rude to you. I would say, if you can, or if you're willing to, I would talk to them and be like, hey, I think it's really rude, and if they continue to do it, then heck, who freaking cares? Someone also asked a really good question about whether or not, like, I think that, like, Korean dramas and K-pop has affected me. Not so much now because I'm not around it, but I remember in high school I was really engulfed in it. And I don't know if you guys are familiar, they're like an older group, but 4Minute, Hyuna, she literally was like my idol. Like I wanted to be as small as her so bad. And she is skinny. K-pop people are skinny. Oh my god, if I sat on a BTS member, he would die, like instantly. They are so fragile and small, like I can't. I didn't grow up that way. I don't even want to be that small. Like it is never, but I remember it was very toxic when I was younger in high school. I wanted to be so skinny and that's all I wanted to be because that's all I saw. Another good question, and I've answered a few questions without specifically targeting questions, if you get what I mean. Like someone asked about like how that affected my childhood. Clearly I got problems. I think everyone has problems, but a really good question for my future is how I will take what I've learned now and apply it to my future. And what I mean by that is like my kids. I will never raise my kids to feel ashamed of their body or who they are. My family can't help but be that way because they are also culturally brought up differently. I am so half-half. I understand the Asian race, but I live by the American lifestyle. So I guess when it comes to like me standing up and being like, I'm my own person, you can't talk to me that way, they don't really understand that. Because I feel like it's very often that the Asian race kind of is like, I own you. Like I gave birth to you, I own you kind of thing. Not in a bad way. And trust me, if you're not raised this way, it's going to be very hard to understand. And you're probably going to think like, wow, my family's mean. They are. They can be. But they don't always mean it in a brutal way. Like my mom and I had many discussions over the past like year where I was like, you can't talk to me that way. You can't constantly bring up my weight. Like every single day there's a comment about the way I eat, the way I look, the way I could look, the way what I wear, everything. Trust me, I've been so critically like torn apart since a young age. I'm surprised I'm not used to it by now, but I had a serious I had like a meltdown with her and I was like, you can't talk to me that way. And me applying that to my future, I would never ever make my daughter feel like she's not good enough. I remember one of the things that my grandma and my mom said to me all the time, and it was, you have to get skinny so you can get married, or you know, like a boyfriend's not gonna date you if you're fat. I even got a comment like that once. Someone had the audacity to tell me that I look like a piece of goob or whatever and that I can't get a boyfriend. My weight doesn't determine whether I get a boyfriend or not. I determine whether I get a boyfriend or not. So thank you. I would never say that to my daughter or my son. I would never make them feel like their body is what determines how much self-love they should have. It's gonna be hard for me because I grew up thinking that my body is all that matters and what I look like is what matters, but it's not. I want to raise my children to believe that they can love themselves no matter what size they are, and I would never make them feel ridiculed. And if it's health-wise, because I know a lot of the times my mom and dad are just concerned about my health, there's a different way of approaching it. They don't necessarily know how to approach it, but I definitely will try my best to raise my children up to feel like they are worthy enough and they are able to do whatever they want to do, if that makes sense. No shade in my family, kind of. My mom has come to a better understanding of it. My dad has come to a better understanding of it. But I definitely, you know, it's a hard topic. Now, all this to say, I'm not saying this is really advice. I'm just saying this is what I've gone through. I hope you can relate to it. This is how I'm applying myself to the emails that I received. I know it's a sensitive topic for a lot of people. It's a sensitive topic for me. But at the end of the day, we are the ones in charge of how we feel and how we want to love ourselves. It's hard. It's not easy. Trust me, I know. I I constantly fight that battle, loving myself, thinking I'm worthy enough. No matter how many times friends tell you that you're worthy enough, no matter how many times your boyfriend tells you you're worthy enough, or girlfriend, or family, whoever it is, if you don't feel it, it will never come to you. And I know that because I got a glimpse of it. A glimpse of it. And it felt amazing. And I feel weak now, but I know that I can get there again. And it's just me. I need to do it, and I need to get there. And I know that you guys can too, if you just try. And it's really just me. If I try and I do it and I put my foot forward and I keep going and stay motivated, I know I can, and I know you guys can. So don't give up. Don't give up on yourselves. Don't do it. And I'm not talking to just the viewers. I'm just saying you in general. We can do it. I can do it. You can do it. Anyone can do it. Someone in this world has gone through something similar to what you've gone through, and I want you to know you're never alone. If you have something on your mind and you wanted to share, my email is down in the description bar below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time for another Tell Me More. Bye!